My name is Chris Pine, and I am one of the principals of Irritech Training. Now, we've been thinking about this concept for a while because we've kind of realized that over time, as much as there are a lot of companies out there that want to provide more and more training for their irrigation technicians, that unfortunately there's a few problems that pop up that make it really, really challenging for some companies. And one might be that they don't really have anybody that is able to do the training and that has the mind share and that can plan a training program out. And a lot of times we find too that even if they're using the Irritech Training platform with our excessive amount of irrigation training content that's available, that people tend to get lost in it and they can't always find exactly what makes sense to go through at that time. So what we're doing here with the bundles is we're taking every month a select amount of content and we're putting it together in a 4-hour package so that you can have access to that for a month and be able to share that with your team in small increments or do it all at once in a number of different ways. So what I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about some techniques for you to use so that your training can be more effective. And that's what we really want. We really want you to be able to use this information and be able to get the results you want, in addition to being able to make sure that you're providing good quality training for your team. So there's a couple of different ways that this content, these bundles can be used. One way that's really, really simple and doesn't take a lot of effort and certainly will help is to take this bundle and give access to your technicians. And with this bundle, you get one login and you would have to share that amongst your team. And they could log in and have access to it for 30 to 45 days that you'll have access to it. And they can go through the content and participate in the tests. And that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to use this, which a lot of companies are pretty excited about, use this for group training. And there's even two ways you can do that too. What you could do is you could either just get the group together in a training room or in your shop, or heck, even in during downtime when there's a weather delay or something like that, or a job site delay. And you could have everybody just log in as a group, and then be able to go through the content, watch it, and then as a group, you could take the quiz at the end of it if a quiz is provided. Probably the best way to tackle this is to actually have some type of a facilitation. In other words, be able to have a training leader be able to start the video and to introduce the topics. And we're going to talk about some of the techniques that individual can use in order to be able to facilitate this training experience. That facilitator could also be maybe one of your advanced technicians or someone in management or someone in a leadership role that this might actually give them some additional responsibility, some role with your team in that capacity of a leader, and help develop their training skills as well too. So how would they go about providing or facilitating this training? So the first step that we always recommend is for them to talk about what's called the WIFM, the WIIFM, the what's in it for me. And that could be the reason or the benefit or what the end user is going to get out of participating in this training activity. And say, for example, it's our 2-wire bundle, and we're going to be talking about 2-wire paths. The WIFM, or what the end user can get out of this, is certainly improved skills and be able to be more competent and be able to get through their jobs a lot more efficiently without struggling with certain aspects of the troubleshooting process. And you could elaborate and go into that some more. The other thing that's really important to do too, and we list and give you the objectives for the training in the individual sessions, but I also will ahead of time review the objectives for the bundle so that way you give the learners, you give your technicians kind of a expectation as to what they're going to learn. It's a training technique to make sure that your learners are prepared and they're looking for what it is they're going to learn by discussing the objectives. The second step is for you to then start the video, start the recording, so that the learners can start working through it. Again, most of these are about an hour, and then watch the audience. And you can usually develop that read for whether people are understanding it, whether they have questions. And once you start to see that there's a certain point where maybe there's been something that's emphasized, or you see that there might be some questions, stop the recording, pause it, and then ask, does anyone have any questions? Can we talk about this? Or maybe tie it to a situation that you or someone on your team might have recently experienced in the field and have that discussion. Start it again, work through the session with this kind of a strategy. When you're finished, for almost all of these, we have some quizzes, and those quizzes will reinforce some of the key points and also make sure that there has been some retention of the information that has been presented. So what you could do is have that facilitator go and make sure that everybody takes the quiz, give everybody enough time, and then review the individual questions, discuss the correct answers, and then kind of take it from there. The other really cool step and kind of a key part of making the training really effective is also to plan some type of reinforcing activities. And what I mean by that are to have some kind of hands-on or some experiences in the field to reinforce the concepts and the principles that were taught and are being learned. A lot of us learn effectively by seeing information, but all of us also do a lot better, have a lot better retention, and actually learn it more thoroughly if we experience it, we touch it, we use our other senses to be able to, in addition to hearing and seeing it, being able to actually do the work itself. So let's say that we're having a bundle that's focused on rebuilding or troubleshooting valves. You could have the valves present, tools to take them apart, multimeters available to be able to troubleshoot or to measure the ohm amount and check out the voltage on the controller. You could basically set up the components there so that people can practice. Or maybe ahead of time, you can have a list of some challenges that have come up with your technicians in the field, and you want to be able to go through the training and then review some of those and maybe have a group discussion without obviously calling anybody out, but just talk about these scenarios and some different strategies that potentially those could use. Or maybe schedule a visit to a site after the fact that might be a good site to do an analysis on, or to solve as a group a specific problem. Those are all different types of reinforcing activities that can make the training more effective, actually turn the recorded content and what is presented into actual learning and build the skill sets of your team. Let's talk about this month's bundle. This month's training bundle is 2-wire decoder systems, the principles, and troubleshooting. And this is a pretty hot topic in our industry. As of the last several years, as 2-wire decoder systems become more and more popular and more common, especially on commercial sites and larger residential. This bundle is designed, it's a 4-hour bundle with 4 individual sessions, 1-hour sessions built into it. And this is targeted to be effective for landscape irrigation technicians, managers, and trainers. A lot of these bundles also have a benefit to be able to give the trainers on your team or the leaders on your team some additional tools to be able to improve their skills in training others on your team. So let's go over some of our objectives for this particular bundle. The first is to increase the understanding of the principles and components of a two-wire system. What I find a lot in my experience is that with the fundamental, solid, factual understanding of the components and the principles of how all of the decoder systems work out there, it is really, really helpful for technicians to be able to reference back to accurate information when they are going through the troubleshooting and the diagnostic process. So we're going to spend a little bit of time working specifically on that in, several of the time spent on these sessions in the bundle, but that increased understanding will be helpful. Secondly, an increased ability to troubleshoot and resolve faults on the two-wire path. The two-wire path has a lot of potential for different types of electrical faults. And there is going to be, once we rule out and we get past any problems with the decoder, which a lot of people tend to instantly default toward, that recognizing the specific fault on the path will give a significant increase in the efficiency of trying to troubleshoot two-wire, because you know specifically what electrical fault you're actually looking for. And we also want to make sure that we're continuing to develop troubleshooting skills in our technician, that they have a good strategy. It doesn't matter if it's two-wire, a hydraulic situation, no matter what, a uniformity issue, they should always have a good troubleshooting strategy, a good diagnostic strategy in order to be able to isolate the problem. We also need to be able to improve their use and their comfort level, the confidence in the necessary diagnostic equipment. And we spend a fair amount of time trying to increase the knowledge of how to use diagnostic equipment, different strategies, different ways of using it, different features that maybe not everybody tries. Sometimes we fall into the same old habits. So this is going to help increase that ability to use this type of equipment. And then lastly, we want to take a little bit of time, since many two-wire systems require grounding, to be able to discuss some of the important reasons why grounding is required. And then also, equally as important, if not more important, is the importance and the ability to recognize the certain procedures that need to be followed for proper grounding. Because a lot of times, if they're not following procedures, or if there is a existing system, and we've seen plenty that maybe there are elements of the grounding system there, but they haven't been actually properly connected or assembled in order to provide that result that we're looking for. So again, very important to make sure these objectives are reviewed with your team. I want to thank you for choosing Iritech Training and purchasing this bundle, and hope this will be a very efficient and effective way to provide training information for your team. Thank you again.